CBS Sports' Candid Coaches series continues here. We've done who's the best player in the country, who's the best X's and O's coach in the country, all of these things. And now we have which school made the best hire this offseason. Reminder, this is Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander who conduct this every offseason. They poll over 100 coaches, and it's a great series. So go follow along at cbssports.com. The results of this one were interesting to me. After, I think, a bunch of obvious results where like Braden Smith and Purdue and Matt Painter got a bunch of love. This is the first one where I'm like, I have no idea what these candid coaches are going to answer with. Well, it was Ben McCollum who was named the best hire of the 2025 cycle. 25% of anonymous coaches chose Ben McCollum as the answer. That was the highest number. Second was Will Wade, NC State at 22%. Sean Miller third at 21%. No other new hire got more than 9% of the votes. Ryan Odom, Buzz Williams, and Nico Medved, the next three going down the list of the top six candidates for best hire. Others receiving votes included Kevin Willard, Ross Hodge, and Alex Jensen. A little Utah love there. Only 9 coaches received multiple votes as a vote for best hire. I would note before throwing it to you, the only name I am surprised not to see here at all is the one and only Darren DeVries at Indiana. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised by that, but I feel like most of the high-profile hires this cycle got at least a couple of votes here outside of Darren DeVries, who did not get any love from his anonymous coaches. Are you surprised by these results?
No, this list feels about right. I'm going to say that everyone, coaches included, are just confused about what happened with DeVries at West Virginia. I mean, I know all the WVU fans just think he used him as a stepping stone to this job. And while he basically toiled away with a pretty mid team, although he did figure out some stuff with Javon Small late in the year. Speaking of West Virginia, happy to see that Ross Hodge did get some votes on this list. His teams have such a high floor with his grinding, plodding, physical defense first style. I hate watching those North Texas teams. West Virginia should be improved. If I had to rank my top 6 new coaching hires, which is what this article did in one way or another, McCollum is probably at the top. Wade and Odom are probably second and third for me in some order. I think we might be overhyping Sean Miller a little bit here. Might be a homer pick, but I think Phil Martelli Jr. should be on this list at VCU, although we might be overhyping him too. VCU was picked to win the A10 in the media poll. I don't know if I believe that yet, but I'll put him at like 4. I'd throw Nico at 5 and DeVries at 6. And then in terms of like honorable mentions, like guys who I think could have received votes if I was like, 100 coaches in the country. Miller, Buzz, Bucky. I think Eric Olin at New Mexico is an amazing hire.
Yeah, I was shocked to not see him after the year he's coming off of.
Yeah, that's an awesome hire. Underrated one. One of the most intriguing hires, Zach Chu at Radford. I'm placing my flag that he'll be a sick hire, a NBA guy, super analytics forward, and brought in like a really good transfer class. Maybe the mid-major's best transfer portal class. Brian Hodgson of South Florida. I like that hire a lot. And I kind of think Mike Magpeo, I think that's how you say his name, is going to work some miracles at Fordham. Not this year. This year, it's not going to go well. But in 2 or 3 years, I think that could look like a good hire. So it's kind of my takes on the list.
Bank that one mentally and come back to Magpeo in a couple of years. Yeah, let's talk through a couple of these guys just individually, but I like some of the shouts you gave that were kind of total off the radar names. I agree with your general sentiment of like maybe the Sean Millers and Buzz Williamses here are just getting some name brand power and that there's some more emerging coaches.
The Miller hire is like, it's good. Is it the third best new hire in the country when we had like 50 new hires?
Yeah.
Like I liked that Xavier team last year. They were fun to watch. They were a first 4 team. They didn't
Yeah.
make the tournament the year before.
Well, it's one of the hard things where like if we were ranking all new hires on who's the most accomplished, Sean Miller's one going away, I think. And if it's just who do you want going forward, he might not be in the top 10, 15 for me. I think
Yeah.
you got to take situation into this too, right? We didn't have a blue blood school make a hire this summer. Last year we had a ton of them, or at least some of them, right? Pat Kelsey, Mark Pope, Dusty May, all exchanging spots. I don't mean to call Michigan a blue blood. That's not what I'm trying to do, but you get the point. This year, Texas was probably the biggest job that came open, other than like Villanova, if you want to go there. And Kevin Willard's on the list for honorable mentions. But, I can understand why Texas just shot for the biggest name. Whereas a lot of the other hires in this cycle, just the nature of them are more like, let's get someone who's up and coming. And ultimately, McCollum being number one on this list doesn't surprise me. There's been a lot of smoke that McCollum is just like a total genius, and I can see why. I'm curious to get your stance on this. Like, do you buy the McCollum? I don't know. The comparison is Signetti. It's cross sports, right? But like guy that is not at the Division One level, wins all these games, comes right up to the Division One level, wins more games, finally gets his shot at the power conference school, immediately is going to have them as a contender. Like, I think that's the pitch if you believe in McCollum. He could do that this year at Iowa. Do you think that's realistic, or are you more reserved on McCollum at this point?
My thing about McCollum and Stirts, because they're really a package deal. McCollum's the best ball screen scheming coach in the nation, and Sturts is the best ball screen facilitator in the nation outside of maybe Braden Smith. But they also play that plodding, slow style where they grind you down. They can win high variance games with shot making. Every time you put a obstacle in front of McCollum and Sturts, they blow by it like it's nothing. They go at the D2 level. I think they were like they were a natty contender at the D2 level. They come up to Drake, they win the Valley, and then they go into the tournament. They beat Mizzou. Like every time, everyone's like, okay, well, let's see how they adjust. They don't adjust. They just run their stuff, and they're just better than people. And that's like, I want to sit here and say, well, it's going to be an adjustment period going to the Big Ten. Every time I say that, I'm wrong. Every single time. And like, I like this roster. I like the roster a lot. I think they were sixth in my transfer portal rankings or something like that. I believe in Sturts as a guy who can handle the ball at every single level and make shots and run right offense. And I believe in McCollum and his staff to scheme up good stuff. There's some defensive issues I think that could hold them back, but I I can't be reserved with McCollum and Sturts anymore.
Yeah.
They just do it. They do the job and they win.
Yeah.
And
That
I would be I would be surprised if they didn't do it this year. I will say that.
Dion, how's your job going?
Beginning of the school year, everything's like a little up and down. One of the biggest issues we've had is we can't find any uniforms for our girls' sports teams.
Mm, that's a difficult thing to find a solution for. I know damn well all about that because I got a daughter that just turned 2. She's into sports and she's already outgrowing every little piece of sports apparel she had. Thankfully, I know Clara Kate Creations. Clara Kate Creations was started by a former high school teacher who quit because it wasn't cost effective to send new twins and a 2-year-old to daycare. She found it easier to make girl sports apparel than finding it to buy. And I am so thankful that she exists because if we have an old shirt of Murph's that she's outgrown, we can send it in and she takes that piece of apparel that means something and upcycles it into an outfit that Murphy can now wear as she grows up. She makes great stuff. It's honestly kind of like your fullback's wife, Kyle Juszczyk. Is that how you say it? She does that. But honestly, I think Clara Kate's coming for Mrs. Juszczyk's job.
I love that. I'm a big Juice guy, love his wife. Love Claire Kate even more than both of them, though.
You can send in your own custom ideas and she will come up with a design. She's just the best. Look up Clara Kate Creations on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and more. And that's the Signetti effect I'm talking about too, I think, is I've had that exact same monologue about him. I'm like, well, there's going to be a reason this just doesn't work to that level. He keeps saying, Google me, I win. And he keeps doing it. Now, McCollum's not as brash as Signetti. I don't think he's the marketer in that way. He doesn't need to be. His game, his teams speak for themselves. But I guess I would just say this. I'm not surprised McCollum was the winner of this poll marginally, right? 3% more of the votes than Will Wade. I think there are a lot of smart people in this sport that I respect that would tell you McCollum should win 75% of the votes in this poll. And we might come back a year from now and feel foolish that he didn't. But I'm also, I don't know, but maybe I'm just the skeptic. I'm a little less high on this roster. I love starts. I have questions about almost everything else on this year's Iowa team, but we'll see. You would have voted McCollum though if you had to submit a ballot for this.
Yeah, I'd go McCollum. Um, Wade and Odom are right there for me. I mean, I don't think Odom, that's a star hire by Virginia. I mean, going
Yeah.
back to his UMBC days when he was a 16 seed that won a game. Utah State, he was awesome there, and then he goes to VCU and he's awesome. He's done it with different rosters, but his offenses are always so good. He's a great schemer. He's Ryan Odom's one of my favorite coaches in the country.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be electric at Virginia. And I'm happy that there are coaches on this list who gave him his flowers.
I was going to ask you, am I crazy for saying I would vote Will Wade?
No, you're not. His end of his LSU tenure was weird, but he's a good coach. He just does the same stuff, right? His defenses, they triple switch the ball screen. They're aggressive. They keep players out of the painted rim area and they force a lot of steals. And that's what he's going to do at
Yeah.
NC State. He's going to do that.
So for me, I think context and timing is everything. Will Wade clearly has a scheme that is unique and fun. It's a fun brand of basketball, and I usually fall for coaches that play fun brands of basketball. So maybe respectfully, I'm not the biggest McCollum offense guy. I hate the grind you down element nature of all of it. It's
But
frustrating.
if you look at the X's and O's, if you slow everything down to half speed, it's gorgeous to watch.
For sure. It's genius and it works. It's going to drive me insane. That's the way to put it. Trying to
It's
go
gonna be
up
fun
against
too,
that.
seeing these Iowa teams after the last 15 years when Iowa just run and gun. But
Well, and you don't know this, I don't think, but I'm like the biggest Fran McCaffrey defender ever. I love that guy. He's my guy. So,
Penn's your team in the Ivy.
I do think Penn's going to be a lot better than people think. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really do.
Mhm.
But anyways, point being this, I think Will Wade at NC State is the right hire at the right time. When you
Absolutely.
look at the rest of this ACC, when you look at what your in-state rival North Carolina is going through, he has this opportunity I don't know that any NC State coach has had. Like you could come in, your system's going to work against the worst teams in that ACC. You're going to get talent. You have a window of opportunity to be better than North Carolina immediately for a couple of years. The narrative on Will Wade might explode in a positive way if he just takes care of business for a year or two, which is different, I think, opportunity wise than a lot of other guys on this list. And I just expect him to execute on that.
You can say a lot of those same things about Ryan Odom.
You can,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Mhm.
basically drop a really good coach in the ACC right now and see what they can
Beat a
do.
bunch of bad teams. They both run, they have visions that work.
Yeah,
Odom's defenses are always ball pressure. They're always good.
yeah,
Yeah, that Virginia team will be fun.
for sure. I have two last questions before we get out of here. First one is this. Did you did you notice the Villanova swap or the Maryland swap? Out goes Kevin Willard, in comes Buzz Williams. Buzz Williams got more votes in this poll than Kevin Willard did. You could interpret that as in the coaching circles, people think Maryland upgraded after Kevin Willard abandoned them for Villanova.
Ugh.
I love that take for what it's worth, and I'm not even a Buzz guy, but I am not a Willard guy. So I like seeing this reinforced a little bit. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with you. Although I'm more of a Buzz guy than you are. I think Buzz is a pretty decent coach, even if his offenses are kind of clunky. He's Buzzball is just winning the extras. They just win the extras. They win the extras, and that typically when you win the shot volume battle, you can win a lot of games. See Michigan State last year.
Yep.
Willard has caught lightning in a bottle like twice in his career, and otherwise, I think he's been pretty mid.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Willard is what he is, and he's controversial after the way he just left Maryland. Last year's Maryland team was awesome, but
Yeah.
like if you would have told
He
us,
knows how to coach defense. He struggles on the offensive end
yeah,
to consistently scheme buckets.
he needs a guy. He's always had like one great
Mhm.
guard that can just do it for him. Or last year, Derek Queen certainly helped with that. But look, I don't know. I'm intrigued because I think he might have that guy at Villanova this year. I love a Caden Lewis, but for me, if you would have told us a year ago that Kevin Willard was coaching Villanova, we all would have been like, "What? That's
Yeah.
strange." And I don't know, but I think it's funny because no one's interpreting like they swapped out Willard for Williams as a win. Might be a win in the long run. Last question for me. A year ago, this exact exercise CBS Sports conducted yielded John Calipari as the coach's pick for best hire. Now, Cal got his team to a Sweet 16. He righted the ship. I still think that was objectively a great hire when you take into consideration it's Arkansas. They lost Musselman. They need the highest profile guy they can get, and they got John effing Calipari. However, any objective way you look at it, John Calipari would not grade out as the best coach from last season that was a first-year head coach. I mentioned Mark Pope. I mentioned Pat Kelsey. I mentioned Dusty May, all who seem like breakout superstar coach candidates at this point. So taking lessons from last year and maybe applying it to this year, it's different because McCollum is certainly a different archetype than John Calipari was. But is there a guy in these top six, McCollum, Wade, Miller, Odom, Williams, Medved, that we might look back a year from now and be like, oh, it's the Calipari effect again. We were wrong putting them this high?
Oh, so you're saying coaches, new coach hires that we might be overrating?
Pretty much, yeah.
Based on a big name, it's Sean Miller.
It would have to be Miller, right?
It's 100% Sean Miller. Big name, a lot of success, couple of questionable years the last few years, and just defensively, meh. Offenses are fun, but yeah, no. And Texas, like, kind of been up and down in basketball the last few years. Don't know about this roster. Yeah, I think it's Sean Miller.
Like, I wouldn't be stunned if, like, even back to name drop Eric Olin at the end of this year, we're like, that dude's a superstar. And we're like, we really put Sean Miller over him. Like,
Yep.
wouldn't surprise me. So, all right. Shout out to Ben McCollum. More propaganda for Iowa basketball this year. Never a bad thing.